Hello, friends, and welcome to The Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, then you're probably a little bit surprised because, for one, the volume is up again. For another thing, I'm a little scrungy. I'm a little unkempt, and you can see my clothes are very unusual for me. Yeah, I'm in a hospital hotel, which means a hotel attached to a hospital, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Also, if you're a return visitor, you probably already know that this is my mini-series in which I am diving into and exploring a beautiful and unique deck called The Tarot of the Holy Light by Christine Payne-Towler. And my plan up to date, up to this time, has been to pull one card at the beginning of the day and to sit with that card and acknowledge the meanings, the ideas, the symbols, the memories I have pertaining to that card from my experience with the Rider-Waite-Smith, the Coleman-Smith decks, the Golden Dawn decks, also the Harris Crowley Thoth deck, right? All of those things come to mind, and I want to acknowledge them because I also know that the Tarot of the Holy Light is a different system. It's based on the Continental Tarot, which is more similar to the Tarot de Marseille and the Atea decks than it is to the Golden Dawn systems, which came later. Frankly, this is from a more traditional system. So I acknowledge the things that I know from the Golden Dawn traditions, and I try to separate them out a little bit and remain with the card as it is. And then I pull 3 cards from an RWS deck called the Light Seers Tarot, because I'm more familiar with that deck. So I pull 3 cards. One card is the significance of the card I pulled at the beginning of the day. The second card is the obstacle to that significance. And the third card is advice. So significance, obstacle, advice. Typical 3-card spread. So I look at that and I think of how that might reflect on the card from the Tarot of the Holy Light. And then I live my day. At the end of the day, I open the book, the guidebook for the Tarot of the Holy Light, and look at that meaning and how it compares to my understanding of a Smith-Coleman deck, for example, a Smith-Waite deck, I should say, and reflect on all that, and then do a video like this. That has been my plan. However, have you ever heard the best laid plans of mice and men? Do you know where that comes from? It comes from a poem by Robert Burns, a Scottish poet from the late 19th century. He wrote the poem, I think, to a mouse in 1850, let me check the date, 1876. And let me read the original as best I can. But Mousie, thou art no thy lane. Improving foresight may be in vain. The best laid schemes of mice and men gone after gilly, and lay us not but grief and pain for promised joy. So, yeah, the best laid schemes of mice and men, the best laid plans of mice and men, gang aft a gley, often go awry. The best laid plans of mice and men often go awry, and my plans have gone awry. Yeah, up until day 14, I've been able to do daily draws, reads, videos, and then life happened in a big way. And for the next 4 days, actually, I have not been able to do anything. So, yet, friends, buckle up, because I'm going to do all 4 remaining of the last days in one video. I'm going to do it as quickly and as smoothly as I possibly can, but it's going to take time. So if you want to stick with me, I'm going to show you 4 cards and how they related to those 4 days. Are you ready? So the first card of this series was the 7 of Cups reversed. Now, I'm sorry about the lighting in this room. There's this weird shadow. I'm not sure where it's coming from, but I think you can see this card well enough. The 7 of Cups reversed. Let me show it to you upright. In this card, what we see is a 7-headed dragon looking something like a hydra, but not really a hydra to me. A hydra is a nasty, nasty thing, and it has 8 heads. But this has 7 heads, and there are 7 cups, and there are flowers up there at the top. And when I think of this card in the upright version, in the Golden Dawn tradition, I think of, a lot of people think of fantasy, like in the negative sense, fantasy, illusion, misconception. And I can sometimes see that in the upturned, in the upside down, the reversed card in Golden Dawn system deck. For me, the upright version is not fantasy in the negative sense, but in the positive sense. The daydreams, the fantasizing about possible potential futures and all of the possibilities that are available to us, and then being able to choose 1 or 2 of those and putting our attention on that and setting that intention on the powerful river of our intention and allowing intention to move us in the direction of that manifestation. Our intentional lives are lives that are motivated by, are driven by our fantasies, by our dreams of what we want to experience, the jobs, the relationships, all of that. So to me, the 7 of Cups upright is a wonderful card. It's a card of dreams and fantasies in the positive sense, those things that I really want to experience in the future and that I'm moving towards. Now, the vibrational planning, you might say, that sense of fantasy. So I got this card reversed. So reversed, I start thinking of perhaps negative fantasies, perhaps frightening fantasies, perhaps fantasies of not things that I want, but fantasizing about things I don't want happening. Night daydreams, but day nightmares. Negatively daydreaming. Or it could be, again, just fantasizing about things that have no relation to potential reality and possibly moving in the direction of that negative sense of just fantasizing, hallucinating almost. It could mean that. So I got that card and I recognized all of those ideas rolling around my head from the Golden Dawn system. And then I pulled 3 cards from the Light Seers, and let me show you those cards right now. You saw that those 3 cards were, first, the Ace of Cups, a card that had come up very recently. Then the 2 of Cups, another card that came up very recently. And then the 9 of Pentacles. So what did I read from that? Well, the significance of that 7 of Cups reversed to me was in relation to, perhaps, I called this the heart magic card when it came up for me as advice previously. Allowing the heart to perform the magic that would move me and those around me forward. Perhaps the healing of the heart, the intuition, the understanding, the deep unconscious understanding, and that magic that can come from the Ace of Cups. In relation to this card in reverse, what I thought was, well, okay, so perhaps I am doing a little bit of negative creation. I don't like using that word. Fantasizing fearfully. And that the significance is that fantasizing fearfully is what is coming from the darkness of my heart. Perhaps I'm having some dark fantasies. Perhaps that's what this was talking about. And then I thought, well, the 2 of Cups, again, this is the second time this came up as an obstacle. Well, the 2 of Cups as an obstacle to me is disunion. So those negative fantasies, those fearful fantasies could be what creates the disharmony, the disunion that this card could be indicating. And so the advice was to be the 9 of Pentacles, to find satisfaction where I am and with what I have, instead of going off in flights of fear, flights of fantasy. Now, we think of the fear card as being the 9 of Swords. This is going to be significant. the Nine of Swords, the fear card, the nightmare card, the worry card, the anxiety card, right? In the Rider-Waite-Smith system. So that is a thought thing, and this to me is an emotional thing. They're related, they're linked, right? But the Nine of Swords is the thoughts, the Seven of Cups reversed, it's the fantasies and the dreams, not the thoughts, but the fears, the emotional content of that, the negative fantasizing of fear, of worry, of anxiety. That's the emotional part of that. Does that make sense? And so, again, the advice I thought was find satisfaction with what is. So I went through my day. Whoa, did I go through my day. And I'll tell you what that day was after I read a little bit about this card from the guidebook. Let me pull it out. So the guidebook says about the Seven of Cups. Let me tell you about the upright, because this is kind of cool. Because it matches more the way I see the Seven of Cups in even the Golden Dawn system. At best, this card indicates the catalytic quality of the awakened imagination. That's how I see the Seven of Cups in the Smith-Waite, the Golden Dawn traditions, especially the Rider-Waite-Smith. A better title might be Vision or Fantasia, because that is what this card invites and represents. Many people are afraid. Now, the next thing, also, many people are afraid to admit their heart's desire. Now, maybe that's it. Maybe that's what this is. The heart's desire, that's the initial stages of that, needs to be recognized. But again, that's reversed, right? But this is the upright meaning for the Seven of Cups, not the reversed. I got it reversed. Sometimes we can't slow down long enough to recognize that our dream is already present in our lives. So this is the Seven of Cups upright. Wonderful ideas about that card, and more in line with the way I see a Rider-Waite-Smith card. Now let's look at the reverse. The somewhat pejorative title, Fantasy, instantly points to the source of problems when this card is reversed. Like I was saying, that negative fantasy idea. We all know people who seem to have lost all contact with the ordinary universe, whose view on every little thing is so unique that it becomes hard to relate to them. Yeah, that's to that hallucinogenic, that hallucinating, not daydreaming, but disconnect with reality. This card also has been entitled Pipe Dreams, yeah? Pointing to impossible expectations born of the trance of intoxication. Now, this is something I want you to keep in mind. There could be some kind of illness or systemic imbalance present, including complications from bad diet or chemistry-changing drugs that exaggerate one's innate hallucinatory tendencies. Now, this is still focused on that idea of hallucinating, disconnect with reality. However, you notice that idea of illness being present. The rate of change in contemporary society has us all suffering from exhaustion due to overstimulation. Also something important, overstimulation, exhaustion. The symptoms of this disorder are a kind of paralysis manifesting as an inability to differentiate between better or worse options, leading to a state of overwhelm in the face of simple life choices. Let me emphasize that. An inability to differentiate between better or worse options, leading to a state of overwhelm in the face of simple life choices. Okay, so according to the book, my choices were simple life choices. I suppose they were. Let me tell you what happened. So, Seven of Cups day. My Seven of Cups reverse day went like this. Started off my still being in my room in isolation. And my mother gets sick. Don't worry, she's okay. She's not entirely well, but she's not in a life-threatening situation right now. she's okay. She's stable. But she got sick, and she got sicker. And I got worried, and I got more worried. And I won't say frightened, because I do have faith. I have faith in the way that life unfolds for me and for my mother. I wasn't afraid, but I was worried about her well-being at the moment. Not future well-being, but well-being at the moment, comfort at the moment, pain in the moment. All of those things I was worried about. The momentary, in the moment, discomfort, pain, illness. So I and my mother's companion decided we have to get her down to the medical bay. We got her down to the medical bay, and they diagnosed her with pneumonia. Not severe pneumonia, but mild pneumonia in one lung. However, at her advanced age, that's not an easy thing. That's not just something, oh, she's just got light pneumonia, she'll get over it, don't worry too much, here are some medications. She's old enough, and her body is compromised enough that while it's not drastically life-threatening, it could develop into something worse without proper care. Now, not horrible, but it could become horrible if not treated. That's what was happening on that day. So we brought her down to medical bay. Important thing to note, I took a shower that morning. I put on new clothes that morning. So that morning, shower, shampoo, new clothes, take my mother down to medical bay, and I stay there. I stay there all night with her. She's in a bed. She's miserable. Frankly miserable. She's having a hard time breathing. She has dementia, so she gets confused about where she is. Not horribly confused. Not like she starts, where am I? Where am I? Not so bad. She just needs to be reminded, and especially when her oxygen levels are perhaps low, or there's anxiety about her condition, her memory gets weaker. That makes sense, right? So I'm down there with my mom in medical bay, and I stay there with her because the care that she's receiving is minimal at best. Not blaming the ship. They have a lot of stuff to do and a very small team. There were a lot of COVID cases on the cruise ship. Just saying. Not horrible pandemic breakout, anything like that, but there were a lot of people in isolation, and they needed to be monitored, and the ship was handling it very well, but still there was a lot to do and very few people to do it. And my mom needed somebody there who would make sure that she got to the bathroom because she was weak, and got back into bed, and all of that stuff. So there I am, spending the night with my mom in medical bay. Still recovering myself from COVID, but I've been recovered enough that I could be there with her. And I'm not going to go into much detail about these days, but because that would make this video extremely long, and it's already going to be long as it is. But so that was my 7 of Cups day. And of course, I didn't get much sleep because I was waking up. I wasn't sleeping deeply when I did doze off, but then I woke up many times during the night, almost every hour. And I stayed awake after waking up to be able to get my mom to the bathroom and back. And I'd get her back into bed. I'd lie down, and watch her, and I'd fade off just a bit, and then it would be time to wake up and get her back into the bathroom. Because her bladder is very sensitive, especially when she's coughing and doing all of those things, and she's on other medication. So that was that night. So I got her back into bed, and then we were talking to the doctors. We got the diagnosis about the pneumonia, not severe, but warranted going off to a hospital on land. We were supposed to be there for 2 days. We were docked in the capital of Iceland, that's where I am now, for 2 days. So get her off the ship in the morning to a hospital, get some treatment, and see where to go from there. So we did that. The next morning, we took her in an ambulance to the hospital. That night, I had to pack my bags And we had to pack my mother's bags, and we brought them down to medical bay the night before. Then the next day when the ambulance came, they said, okay, we could try to put the bags in the ambulance, but there's not enough room, or we could send the bags with you right after you. Yeah? I said, really? Right after me? Negative fantasizing, right? Really? Right after me? Are you sure? How soon after me would they come? Well, I mean, are we talking an hour, 5 hours, a day? How long would I have to wait before I received those bags? Because I still had not showered from the day before. And they said, no. We'd send them 5 minutes after you, we would send them. I said, really? Are you sure? You get all of these. Some of these have tags, some of them don't. You would send all of these with me right after me, 5 minutes after me, so that I get them almost within the hour after arriving at the hospital. Oh, yes. And you won't forget all of these. Oh, yes. Okay. So I did. I went ahead, and I got to the hospital, and the bags were not there. And the bags were not there. And the bags were not there. And I pulled another card. Now, from here, I'm not going to, I didn't pull Rider-Waite-Smith's deck's card. No, let me try that again in English. From here on, I only pulled a card from the Tarot of the Holy Light because, frankly, I didn't have the mental bandwidth to deal with trying to analyze things deeply after pulling a card. I pulled the card, I sat with it, tried to understand what it would mean, and hoped beyond hope that I would have time that evening to film a video, which I did not. But I pulled a card and I sat with it. Did not look at the guidebook, but I sat with it. The card I pulled, remember I mentioned just briefly that Nine of Swords anxiety stuff? Guess what card I pulled the next afternoon? Yeah, we had breakfast. The people in the emergency ward were so kind. They brought me coffee. I couldn't walk out of, at least I didn't think I could walk out of the emergency isolation center because I thought I still was in isolation. Turns out I wasn't in isolation, but I thought I was still in isolation and I had to be there with my mom. So they really kindly brought me coffee, 2 cups in one large cup. And so I had my coffee, and then when my mother was quiet and settled down, I pulled a card, and I pulled the Nine of Swords in reverse. Woohoo! That's so exciting. That's just the card I wanted to see, right? So let me show it to you upright. What do we see? We see what looks like an eagle chained. The 9 swords are below. We have the moon above, but this eagle who can fly is still chained. Now, when we think of this card in the Rider-Waite-Smith, in the Smith-Waite deck, we see it's the nightmare card, right? It's the person sitting in a bed with the 9 swords above and a black wall, and their faces in their hands like this. It's the nightmare, anxiety, worry card. So I think of this and I think, yeah, okay, even upright, that sounds right. Here I am in isolation, in an emergency room, in a hospital in the capital city of Iceland. And then this comes up reversed, which is even more freaky, which is even more scary to me, right? So not only is this bird chained, but what is above the bird is and can perhaps potentially come crashing down on this bird trying to escape is all of this land. So I'm thinking, damn, that's not good. That's really, really not good. But it really, really seems to match my situation. Here I am, stuck in dirty clothes, no shower. I couldn't shower in the emergency isolation room, feeling very uncomfortable, with a mother who still needs to be escorted to and from the bathroom, sometimes a little conscious, a little less conscious. That day she had some moments of apparent improvement. She'd had some antibiotics. She seemed to be improving a little bit. I'll get to that in a moment. And then I pulled that card. So what does that card mean? Let's take a look at the book. So the 9 of Swords, very similar meaning to Coleman Waite card. Yeah, it's still that idea of anxieties being trapped. Yeah, the bird is being trapped, tries to escape, gets exhausted and comes crashing down. So very, very similar. Let me go directly to the reverse. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. The reverse meaning of the Nine of Swords in the Tarot of the Holy Light goes like this. Mature souls interpret the Nine of Swords reversed as an important lesson learned while doing penance, atoning for our sins of omission and commission, period. In the long, empty stretches, we review our losses, realizing, now notice, long, empty stretches, review our losses, realizing that those losses came from ignoring the rest of the world as we made our self-serving calculations. Boy, that didn't feel good. Even in the most optimistic of tarot packs, this can be a fairly bitter card. Makes sense for where I was, right? One can interpret the Nine of Swords upright as the legal thou shalt and thou shalt not rules of society. Upright, right? However, the more society is tied up in laws, the more repressive it becomes, even to the point of criminalizing natural behavior. So, criminalizing natural behavior, locking people up, even medically locking people up, that could be part of it, yeah? Further, the reversal of such a situation drives the cost of that repression into the lives of society's most vulnerable members, the sick, and those taking care of the sick. In a society run by and for jailers, nobody escapes spending time in prison. The oppression of rules and regulations. That's kind of how my day was that day. And also it could have been partially that idea of trying to fulfill my desire for something without a full check with reality and the consequences of that and learning the consequences of that. So this was my Nine of Swords day. We were in the emergency ward. We had no luggage. I was getting stinky. My mom was having a little bit of, there were periods of more awareness, more recognition of where she was, what her condition was, and the plans coming up. A recognition that maybe this was the last time that she would take an extended vacation. That maybe, she wasn't there yet. She was coming to the idea that maybe, she'd been fighting this. No, Derek, you leave. You get back on the ship. Even if I can't get back on the ship, you get back on the ship. You keep going. I can manage by myself. She can't manage by herself. Especially until she got placed in a real medical ward with real nurses who would take care of her regularly as they can. She needed me there in the isolation ward, in the emergency, because there are no people. I pushed the nurse call bell. They might show up 4 hours later. They might show up an hour later, but immediately no. They were backed up, certainly. There were a lot of COVID patients in the hospital in this city, in the capital city of Reykjavik, Iceland. So the staff is overworked as it is. They can't take care of my mom separately. I needed to be there. Just fact. Now, interesting. Something else that is interesting. My mother's sun sign is Virgo. The Seven of Cups reversed. Let me move back there. Seven of Cups reversed. Reversed, detriment, Jupiter in Virgo. Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords reversed. Let me get back there. I just lost it. The Nine of Swords reversed. Mercury in Virgo. So maybe a lot of these cards were more about my mother than me. I mean, I'm not going to say they weren't about me. But perhaps some of that unrealistic desire to go on a trip that was not exactly the best idea for her, that she was perhaps not exactly suited for. That some of that might have been my experience, part of my experience because of my mother. I'm not it's not blaming her. I'm not blaming her, but I'm saying that she is part of this, of course, because we're interacting, we're going through this together. But all of this Virgo energy in these four cards is significant to me. You'll see another one that's Virgo. So a lot of this is me in relation to her and the effects of her on me, I think. Does that make sense? So again, Nine of Swords reversed. Unrealistic expectations and learning from them. So I'm realizing at this point that, yeah, when we had said that this was my mom's last hurrah, this is my mom's last real vacation, maybe we're learning that maybe it shouldn't have been her vacation, that maybe she really wasn't ready to be able to do this anymore. Maybe I've been noticing over the last times when I wasn't with her, when I was not vacationing with my mother, that when my mother did go somewhere before the pandemic, she has started to become I hate to say it, a bacteria magnet. Yeah. She'd go somewhere, she'd get an infection, and she'd wind up in a hospital. She'd go somewhere else, she'd get an infection, and she'd wind up in the hospital. Now, right before COVID, I went on a very long vacation with her. We were all fine. So I assumed that because I was here with her this time, that we would all be fine this time too. Now, that was perhaps an unreasonable assumption. Because perhaps of COVID, perhaps not. Perhaps just because she has become so much of a magnet for stuff that it gets into her, a little bit gets into her, and it just goes wild. Now, a little bit of something gets into her, and it turns into pneumonia, almost like that. Not life-threatening pneumonia, but pneumonia needs to be treated. So that's where we were. Me, stinky, in an emergency ward, no baggage, trying to find out where it was. That was a whole other trauma. Yeah, trying to contact the person who actually had the baggage was an insane affair. No response from them. I had other people working on trying to find it. No response. Thank God I had other people out there that I could contact, and they would contact me. We're trying. We can't find it. We can't find the people. No response. We're trying. Okay, so a day and a night goes by. This video is, I'm okay, won't complain about the length. I'm very sorry. Last time. The next day, I wake up. I say, okay, beginning of the day, I'm pulling a card. I pulled a card. It was this one. It was the Page of Discs, which I had pulled a while back. Yeah, the Page of Discs. This card freaked me out a little bit because in the Coleman weight system cards, I think of this card as a very lively, young, curious page who wants to discover what's out there, what opportunities are out there, and just wants to dig under the rocks and say, what's down there? What's it? What is this? What can I learn from? And this card just looks so scary to me. The expression on that page's face is just like, I don't know, like A Christmas Carol, when Bob Marley comes and unwraps his mouth and goes, "Whoa!" That's what I see in this mouth. And all those ghosts comes. That's what I see in this mouth. So this mouth kind of freaks me out. And the sun doesn't look very happy. I've talked about this in the past. But this figure does have wings. That's a plus, I guess. It's kind of an angelic figure. However scary they look to me. However much they seem to be breathing the cold air of ice and death even out into the environment. Okay, so what does this card mean in the book? In the book. Page of Discs. I won't read the whole thing. But his voice is thunder. which explains the expression on his face. And his pineal, the other third eye, his pineal is a lodestone. Whatever he gives voice to inevitably comes to pass. The page declares that there is no more time to waste. One must act now, else lose the chance. His drumbeat demands that one speak now or forever hold your peace. This page of discs is historically the student of abundance. Really? Okay, so we've still got that. We've still got the student of abundance idea in this card, especially upright. This person's attention is focused on learning the natural laws that pertain to increase, multiplication, compounding, and all forms of growth. So learning about all those things. Practical information of all kinds sticks to this page and makes him a walking encyclopedia of little-known facts. A trivia king, right? So I'm not going to go more into that, but we've got that idea of the student here. We've also got the idea of this person being the servant of the queen in this deck. The queen is Aries. Now the queen of discs is not Aries. I'm sorry. The queen of discs, Winter. Okay, I've lost it. Anyways, it would be the queen of swords. No, the queen of discs. Yes. Sorry. Foggy brain. So the queen of discs, who isn't exactly the queen of abundance, in the same way as a Coleman Smith queen of discs might be. The queen of discs in this card, in this deck is Capricorn. And Capricorn is the hardworking one, right? The one who leads. The culmination point whence all the goals, efforts, and fruits of this half of the year accumulate. The queen is a sibyl or oracle, perhaps a reader of one kind or another, whom people have learned through experience to trust in times of need. So an oracle, the creator of abundance, all of those things. So this is the page, the servant of that queen. Okay, so my day. Oh, and also the creator of this deck, the wonderful, brilliant teacher, Christine Payne-Towler, commented on my video about the page. And this is what she said. The season of winter, because the pages are the seasons in this deck, the season of winter, starts with the rebirth of the light in the winter solstice. Of course, that's right, right? Therefore, the landscape might be cold and austere, which is, I guess, the way I was reading that, but the days are getting longer. So it's that point of darkness to be the beginning of increase of light. So what was happening that day? Let me look at my notes. The page. So we were in the hospital room that day. No, I'm sorry. We were in the emergency ward, but we got notification around 3 or 4 o'clock that we had a hospital room for my mother, which means she would go into a hospital room and have real nurses there for her. She was going up to the pulmonary ward, perfect because she has a light pneumonia, but still no luggage. I'm still stinky. I have not showered for 3 days. I have not changed my clothes for 3 days. So we get my mom sent up to a hospital room, and I sit in the emergency room waiting room from 5 o'clock-ish till about 9 o'clock-ish, trying to find my luggage, trying to get a hold of the person who supposedly has my luggage, trying to get help from other people. My mother's companion on the ship, we had a new association, a family assistance association from Holland America Line, who is helping us. And those people and I were still trying to find the port agent who had my bags. And they were also supposed to come and help me find a hotel room. Now, the nurse who was helping my mother one of the nurses who was helping my mother in the isolation ward of the emergency, had told me that she had weaseled away, or not weaseled, she had found a way to get me into the hotel, the hospital hotel. Now, hospital hotel, what is that? It's a hotel attached to or related to a hospital where mostly patients stay there. Now, this is right now, that's where I am now. Now, mostly patients stay there, but she found a room that I could use. She said for one night. And I was thinking, I don't want to go to a hotel for one night, maybe get my stuff, and then have to move to another hotel the next day. So I thought it would be best for me to find a place where I could stay for the duration of my mom's treatment here at the hospital. And I thought the port agent with my luggage would come and help me find a hotel and all that would be well. So I waited and I waited and I waited. It came 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Still bright outside like this. Right now it is it's past 10 o'clock p.m. right now. Yeah, the sun almost doesn't set out here. But nothing was happening. Nothing was happening. Couldn't contact anybody. I realized it's Saturday night. If the agent hasn't answered their phones now, they aren't going to answer them later in the evening. So I broke down and tried to find a hotel. I called one hotel, 2 hotels. They're booked. Now this is the heavy tourist season for this city. It's summer in the very, very northern regions of the globe. So when there is tourism, most of it happens now. And so I said, okay, fine. I'll find a way I'll go to the hospital hotel. And if I have to, I'll just stay there one night and I'll find somewhere else to go the next day. So they called and said, oh, we thought you didn't want the room. I was like, so now I don't even have that. And so they said, well, who said you had a room? Who said? So they talked and 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 they finally allowed me to go. I went. I came to this place now. And they were so kind. They were so kind. I said, I have no clothes. Do you have some clothes that have been left behind by other people that I might be able to wear? I have nothing to take a shower with. I have nothing. I have only the clothes on my back. So what did they do? They gave me soap to wash the clothes that I have. There's a laundry machine down here. Free of charge, laundry machine and dryer. They gave me the soap so I could wash my clothes. They gave me these clothes so that I could wear while I was washing my other clothes. I had not had dinner. Yeah, they sent my mom up to the hospital room before dinner so she would have dinner up there. And I didn't have anything except for a bottle of water. So they gave me now it's not a feast. They gave me 2 slices of bread, 2 slices of cheese, butter, and a drink of an apple drink from their own personal stash in their refrigerator. So I was very grateful for that. Also, clothes and they said I could stay as long as my mother is in the hospital. I didn't have to find another room the next day. So you can't imagine how grateful I was. So the page there's one more thing I want to read about the page before we move on to today's card. About that page of discs. Where was it? There's something here about it being the end of a cycle. Yes. The disc page is the announcer of endings, as in the final scene of a play or an opera. And in a way, I guess, that's what that day was. It was the ending of the trauma days of getting my mom to get treatment. The end of that cycle. So it would naturally mean the beginning of another one, right? So the beginning of another one, the next day, I woke up here feeling a little bit fresher, a little bit cleaner. I went down and had breakfast, and I pulled a card. And I pulled another disc, the 8 of discs, one of my favorite cards in the Smith Smith-Waite tradition. In the Smith-Waite tradition, what do we see? We see a person sitting on a workbench with 7 pentacles above, working on their 8th. It's the craftsman card. It's the worker card, the one so focused on their task. They keep improving their task, their ability, their craftsmanship, their mastership of their craft. On this card, we don't really see that. We see 4 suns, 4 moons with an eye in the center. Yeah, but this card is Virgo ruled by Venus. Very fortuitous looking astrology, right? Venus, the beauty, perfection, and Virgo, the perfection, the worker, the details, the planner, the getting stuff done, the sometimes perfectionist, but there's a good side of perfectionism and the not so good side of perfectionism, yeah? But the beauty of doing something the best that it can possibly be done and planning for that and preparing for that and all of those, making the lists to make things go right. All of that, 8 of discs. So those are the things I was thinking of when I drew that card. And I was thinking, okay, so I went from the page, the ending and the beginning, the ending of something and the beginning of a new cycle, perhaps. And the next day, the new cycle begins with the 8 of discs, another disc card. Makes sense and also seems very fortuitous. So let me read what comes out of this book, which I read just a little while ago. Let's see, the 8 of discs. The 8 of discs expresses the rhythm of creativity with its alternating periods of labor and recreation. Now that's important for my day. Alternating periods of labor and recreation. To express this pulse, 4 suns look out of the upright card and 4 moons arise on the reversal. Balancing intense concentration with periods of equally fun distraction is the message of this card. When the 8 of discs falls upright, you are encouraged to dive into your productions and get something fantastic accomplished. Hopefully one of those fantastic things that I'm accomplishing is this video. Let me know. Good. Without a spirit of experimentation and the willingness to fail, how would anybody, man or God, manage to build a vessel that holds water, literally and figuratively? So instead of being the perfectionist, the one who is, like in the Smith-Waite card, you see that craftsman working on those discs. All of those discs and the card look perfect. So it's just keeping on doing the same thing over and over again, and refining. But this is different. This is more experimental, trying new things, being willing to fail, and knowing that every failure is something learned and something gained, and something new could be created, something better can be created, something more perfect, something more grand, something more amazing can be created. 99 failures creates 1 brilliant success. I mean, that's one way to look at that. Both the aesthetic conviction of Venus as well as the precision and attention to detail of Mercury in Virgo are needed to fulfill the demiurge imagination. Does that make sense? So you've got both of those. The aesthetic conviction of Venus, beauty, perfection, brilliance, and the precision and attention to detail of Mercury in Virgo. And it's funny, I often get not confused, but I used to think Venus and Virgo were the same. This was way back. I used to think, and that's still partially kind of oddly connected in my brain, that I think Venus is Virgo, Virgo is Venus. Virgo is the beautiful female fertility goddess. She isn't, but that's how I relate them. And I need to untangle those. Because Venus is not in Virgo. Venus is not in Virgo. Virgo is not in Venus, naturally. How? So, that's the idea of the basic idea for the 8 of discs. So, what happened today? Let me tell you what happened today. Today was actually an interesting day. So my mom's in the hospital room. I went up to visit my mom. After I had the same clothes washed and I wore them to the hospital room. And the day before, 2 days before, she was getting more cogent and then weak and then cogent and weak. The day before, yesterday, she was more in a fog. She was less, she was awake, she was aware, but less so. Her mind was less penetrating, less sure. She needed to be reminded more of things. Today, I went up. When she was awake, her mind was more clear, was clearer. When she asked where she was, instead of answering her, I said, I think you know where you are. Where are you? And it wasn't that often, but most of the time, she came up with the right answer. She was in a hotel. She was in a city in Iceland. So what's the plan? Well, what do you think? How long are you going to be here? I would ask. She'd say, no, you know, how long? She said, 2 days, maybe more. Yes, 2 days, maybe 3. Well, then what? I said, what do you think? Where are we going next? I'm going home? Yes, you're going home. She wasn't sure of her own knowledge, is the way I understood that. So that was a good sign. Still, I had no luggage, but I was working with my mom. And then around lunchtime, I went down to have lunch and I came back. Now, to get in to see my mom, I had to go into full regalia, medical regalia. Yeah, I had goggles. I had a hairnet. I had the full cover of those protective greens over my clothes. I had gloves over that. I had a mask, of course, not just any old mask, not just a K95 mask, one of those very protective, very thick masks with a little round filter on the side, yeah, that you go into for contaminated areas. Every time I went into there, I had to put all of that on and then take it off in a very particular order. So I'd get all garbed up and I'd go in, spend about an hour and a half. Then I'd have to go through the taking off process, which takes about 5 minutes, and then come out. Went down to lunch. And then I said, no, I need to go buy some clothes. I need to buy some clothes and maybe some shampoo, maybe a toothbrush and toothpaste and a hairbrush and all of that stuff. So I told the nurse my plan is, I'm going to walk to the mall. I'm going to buy the stuff I need. I'm going to walk back, and then I'll spend some more time with my mom. So that's what I did. Now this is, I think, the fun part. So I looked at my map on my phone and I followed the map. This was my day of adventure for me in this situation. I'm walking to a mall in a foreign country, finding the stuff I need, finding stuff that I like, and walking back. So I walked in, I found the toiletries I needed. And then I asked the person behind the counter, where can I get cheap clothes? Because I don't need clothes very much. I mean, I've got a whole suitcase of clothes somewhere, just not here with me. So she said, go up to H&M. That's where I shop when I want something cheap. So I went up and I found underwear, socks. I found, I wanted pants that I didn't have to worry about the size. I could get into them. I didn't need a belt. They had like something with an elastic, perhaps waist, and long enough that I didn't have to worry. I just wanted something cheap and something I didn't have to worry about. So I found some cargo pants-like things with stretchy waistbands, and I found a basic greenish polo shirt that would go nicely with these black pants. And then on my way out, I kind of noticed another pair of stretchy pants that I kind of like. No, first I noticed a t-shirt that I kind of like. It's not my normal style. It's got these big fruits on it. Maybe I'll wear it tomorrow. And then I thought, well, these kind of go with the pants that I bought, but look, those pants look even better with these. So, and they're stretchy. They got a stretchy top. They're not black. They're kind of a greenish, moss green, khaki color. And they go with nicely with this t-shirt. I'll get those two. So this was my moment of play for the day. I got all that stuff in the bag. Walking to the mall to do all of this, there were these two ravens, crows, or some large black bird flying by, making noise. Ah, rah, rah. And I started, for a brief moment, I thought, ravens, cries, death. No, that's not it. That's not it. Don't be calling me. Don't call me bad news. Don't be bringing me bad news. And then I start thinking of that song from the Wiz, right? Don't nobody bring me no bad news, no bad news. No. So I started singing that song in the capital city of Iceland, walking to this mall. And I was also thinking, well, maybe this is a message. Maybe it's a different message. Back of the mind, this little voice was saying, I'm sure I heard it. The moment you buy clothes, you're going to realize you didn't need them. Guess what happened? I go in, I had fun buying these clothes, and I tried to figure out, now I had to find my way back. This is a large mall, and I went down and in and around and about, and which door do I have to go back out of to find my way back to the hospital? I was trying to find my way, and I was connected to Wi-Fi, and so I opened up my phone to look, and there was a message. There was a message saying that they finally contacted the port agent, that the port agent had my bags, that apparently they had tried to deliver my bags, but that the hospital refused to receive them. I don't believe this. I talked to a lot of the people at the hospital to see if anyone had tried to deliver luggage for me. They all said no. I checked several entrances. Anyways, they contacted the person. They gave me a new phone number for the person, and I got my bags now. I've got these clothes that I bought, and now I've got my bags. That's how things work, right? So yes, that is how things work, because I had released all of that. I got it taken care of. Even if I don't have my bags now, I got clothes to wear, I got a toothbrush, I got shampoo, I'm good. So of course I've released all this resistance and the thing that I wanted appeared. That's law of attraction, and that's living intentionally. And frankly, I'm not bitter, I'm not sad, I'm not unhappy about having shopped. I'm actually kind of happy about the clothes that I bought. And even if I might have used that time differently, I had an adventure, and it was good that I had an adventure. And I think perhaps that adventure might be part of this. I was doing the things that I had to do. I've taken care of my mom when I had to. I got my clothes, I went back to the hospital, I went back in, I sat with my mom for another hour and a half. She woke up cranky, which is good because she had the energy to be cranky. When she's really tired, when she's really weak, she's the sweetest person. She's the sweetest patient. When she starts getting her energy back, she starts demanding her way. She's not so demanding when she's really sick. When she's getting better, she starts getting demanding. And so she woke up, started getting demanding. We got her dinner. She said, I don't want to eat that. So I said, Mom, when I was a child and I said I didn't want to eat that, you would say, you have to try. You have to try. First try. No. So that's a good thing. That's a good sign, I think, that her temporary crankiness this afternoon is a sign that she's actually getting better. Her energy is returning. Her clarity is returning. She's more decisive. She has the ability to make decisions for herself, and she wants to be not self-actualized. Well, yes, self-actualized, but she wants to have self-authority over self. Does that make sense? She wants to be in control of herself and her choices, and that makes sense. And she can do that more when she's feeling better. So again, that's a wonderful sign. Our luggage is here. I've got this hotel room that I can stay in. All is actually well now. So what is the plan? Well, the plan right now is that for the next couple of days, we stay here. And then when Mom is able to fly, we fly her back to her home in California. The rest of the trip is canceled for me and her. Her companion is still on the trip, but the rest of the trip is canceled for me and her, which I was resisting very strongly a few days ago, like 3 days ago. When I went back up to my cabin to pack my bags and looked out on the balcony, I got really, really sad. Very, very sad. I mean, I don't want to say I was angry at my mother or any of that. That wasn't part of it. I knew more than my responsibility, my desire is to be with my mom and take care of her. But also, I really, really enjoyed being in that cabin on that ship. And losing 2 or more weeks of that was sad. And I think it's okay to acknowledge that. But I'm here and I'm happy. I'm happy to be with my mom. This is a new, different kind of adventure. I'll have opportunities to go on other ships and do that. My mother is starting to recognize that, yes, maybe she doesn't want to travel anymore, which is good for her, because when she's home, she can maintain her health better. And her not resisting that is also very good. It's not like she's winding down and getting ready for death yet. No, but also knowing that this traveling thing is getting too difficult for her and she can use her energy in better ways, things that she enjoys more. And she doesn't really enjoy traveling as much anymore. And recognizing that change of desires is also a healthy thing. It's not oh no, she doesn't want to travel anymore. Oh, poor her. No, that's not it at all. It's understanding who I am right now and what the things that I enjoy. And right now, she doesn't enjoy traveling anymore. It's just gotten too hard. And it's okay that it's gotten too hard. There are other things that she can enjoy wonderfully that aren't too hard, that are fully enjoyable for her. Not everybody has to be a traveler until the day they drop. Not everybody has to be a traveler at all. Traveling is not necessary for a fulfilling life, right? So all is well, all is well. And even better is knowing thyself. My mother knowing herself even more is a wonderful outcome, I think, of this. So my leg is starting to cramp, and this is time to wind up. I have no idea how long it's going to take to upload this video. So let me sign off. And friends, if you are still here, please hit the thumbs up so that YouTube knows that you enjoyed it, that you got something out of it, and other people might get something out of it too. Hit the subscribe button if you have not subscribed, and hit the alarm bell. I'm going to try to continue doing one card a day as long as I can. I think it's possible now. So I'll try to continue that. So to get notifications, hit the alarm bell and comment below. I would really love to hear what you think about all of this. And let me know what you think of the duds I got from the hospital hotel. I like them. I asked them if I could buy a few more sets to take home with me. They said I can keep these. So I'm going to keep these. I like them a lot. I think I look cute in them. What do you think? Let me know below. And if you want a private reading, I've got time. I'm just hanging out here. I'll have my new email address down there, so you can send me an email and tell me I want a private reading, and I can work it out with you. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.